Off muna ako video. Ay, nag-ano na. Ayoko mag-website.
Thank you.
Simula na.
Welcome to the Philippines,
the paradise of investment opportunities in the Asia-Pacific region.
The Philippine Economic Zone Authority is managing a globally competitive and ecologically sustainable environment for your investments and industries as exporters of goods and services to the world market. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority, as an investment promotion agency, oversees and administers incentives to ecozone developers and locators in world-class, environment-friendly, secured, and competitively priced special economic zones that are ready to host export industries that are into manufacturing, processing, refinery, assembly, IT BPO, tourism, medical tourism, and agro industry.
So why the Philippines?
Dole chose the Philippines and Mindanao specifically here in South Cotabato because the agronomic conditions are perfect for growing pineapples. So we are very close to the equator. We get a consistent climate over 12 months.
Which means we can plant the whole year round.
Philippine location is strategically situated in Southeast Asia. Logistic operation is another advantage, especially on import and export movement that is relevant to Samsung supply chain.
The Philippines is the fastest growing economy among the ASEAN 6 countries.
The Philippines has got a very large pool of highly trainable and really passionate workers, and I think that's one of the key things that is important in our industry, which is highly people-centric. We've got world-class facilities here and infrastructure. We've got government and PEZA support that allows us to facilitate our operation here.
Generally, education standard is quite high. There are many graduates from university and college. That's why we thought hiring would be easier for us.
1 million Filipinos reach the working age every year. The Philippines is also very strategically located in the Asia-Pacific region, which makes it an ideal distribution hub for global companies. We are also the only ASEAN country granted with GSP Plus status by the European Union, meaning the Philippine exports can enter the EU region tariff-free. Over the years, we have developed the PEZA's brand of service for ease of doing business.
First, PEZA is a one-stop shop.
Second, we are a non-stop shop.
And third, there is no red tape, only red carpet treatment.
PEZA is renowned and highly respected for its one-stop shop policy. And as a matter of fact, it is highly regarded globally because of its no corruption tolerance and also its campaign against red tape.
The office in Manila, for example, there are other government agencies that reside within the office, such as the Bureau of Immigration and Bureau of Customs, which makes it a lot easier for us to secure the necessary permits to deliver our business in country.
PEZA is giving us a 5% GIT, inclusive of all taxes in the Philippines. We even get income tax holiday for new projects that we're bringing into this country. As a matter of fact, most countries has patterned their export industry using PEZA as their model.
Timely and consistent processing through PEZA's one-stop shop concept.
Second, assistance by the very accommodating and capable PEZA personnel.
Third, partnership. We are in good company with PEZA.
PEZA was also the Economic Zone Agency, cited by the IFC World Bank for best practice among economic zones worldwide.
Likewise, PEZA has been lauded by the U.S. Department of State for creating a positive business environment in the country.
We've been able to expand our portfolio in terms of technologies and also markets. We are now supplying to North America, to Europe, Asia. Effectively, we're very much a worldwide company now as a result of the ease of doing business.
Here in the Philippines, you are very culturally affiliated to North America, and that's something that our North American customers love a lot, which is why they choose to come here by the drove. Philippines has grown and is one of the largest, in fact the largest center for voice outsourcing across the globe.
The 40 years of operation of Texas Instruments in the Philippines is already more than enough manifestation of how we greatly appreciate and value the services of the Philippine Economic Zone Authority.
So if I have my way, I would say that we have to expand PEZA and even convert the whole country into a PEZA zone to improve the competitiveness of this country, provide more jobs for our people.
Experience the best of the Philippines.
The best place to invest in.
Galing Pinas, Galing Pinas!
We welcome you to this morning's briefing and update on the application and processing of the PEZA visa. My name is Anna Rose Malapit, your MC for this morning, and on behalf of the Philippine Economic Authority, we thank you for making time to join us in today's discussion. This briefing has been organized by PEZA and the Bureau of Immigration to provide updates on the processing of the PEZA visa and discuss your clarifications and concerns. To officially start our program, may I please call on Ms. Ivy Ganada to lead us for the opening prayer.
Lovingly Heaven Father, we praise and thank you for this wonderful day you have given us. We come to you today asking for your blessing and to help us all as we gathered here together for this briefing. We pray for a harmonious and productive meeting for our participants today, even though we are not all in the same room. We pray for your guidance, wisdom, and support with the matters at hand and ask that you will clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Help us engage in a meaningful discussion and enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Give us your grace that we may effectively do our part as a public servants to our valued stakeholders. Bless our meeting, plans, and programs so that we may achieve all our objectives today for your greater glory. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ivy. Now, before we proceed, first, let me acknowledge our participants in today's briefing. We have here from PEZA side, Deputy Director General for Policy and Planning, Mr. Tereso Opanga. As one of our user speakers, we also have the head of our Legal Affairs Group Manager, Attorney Jenny June Romero.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Joining her is the Division Chief of our Foreign Nationals Unit, Ms. Felicidad Sayo, together with her team. Good morning, ma'am. Also attending online are our PEZA zone administrators and zone managers. And representing our partner, the Bureau of Immigration, we have here today also as one of our user speakers, BI PEZA Satellite Office Head, Mr. Richard Gonzalez, together with his team members. And of course, we acknowledge the representatives from our valued locator companies. Good morning, everyone. To start off, let's all welcome PEZA Deputy Director General for Policy and Planning, Mr. Teresa Opanga, for some opening remarks.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning to all our valued locators and their representatives and other participants in this webinar. On behalf of DG Plaza and together with our resource persons from PEZA, we have Group Manager Attorney Jenny Romero, and from the Bureau of Immigration, we have Mr. Richard Gonzalez. Welcome everyone to this PEZA briefing and update on the implementation of the new PEZA visa. As you know, this PEZA visa took effect on November 27, 2021, by virtue of the PEZA MOA with BI and its IRR. And we are glad and proud that under the able leadership of DG Plaza, and as we transition to the new administration, we were able to deliver this key reform in enhancing our visa and our application process. Through our cooperation with the Bureau of Immigration, we now issue our new PEZA visa, which is valid for 2 years and can be issued within 10 days if documents are complete. Certainly, these are marked improvements from our old 47A2 visa system. However, just like any new system that is being implemented for the first time, as I've mentioned, our PEZA visa is barely 6 months old. We cannot avoid encountering operational issues and concerns that may affect our visa system. And so it's incumbent upon us to revisit the process flow, institute corrective measures as we engage our locators for consultation so that together we can enhance and improve our visa process. And so we urge everyone to feel free to share with us your inputs, your suggestions, and be candid with your comments. if you feel strongly that we have problems and issues with our implementation. When we talk about trade and investment facilitation, we do not deal only with the movement of goods or provision of support to export. Equally important is the movement of people. For the PEZA visa, we cater in particular to our ecozone foreign nationals who provide critical support to the viability of operations of our locator companies. And therefore, it's a must that we facilitate with ease their entry into the Philippines, including their exit from the country. With the predictability of our new visa process and given the immediate plan of PEZA to automate our visa system, including the issuance of PEZA visa IDs, you can be rest assured of our world-class service, more efficient and much faster facilitation of visas as one of the non-fiscal incentives that we extend to our valued ecozone locators. Overall, this milestone achievement will surely enhance ease of doing business and the attractiveness of the ecozones as we invite more investors and provide support in reviving our economy from the pandemic. Maraming salamat sa ating lahat at mabuhay po tayo.
Thank you very much, Sir Teo, for opening our program today. Now, without further ado, we will start with PEZA's presentation and updates on the PEZA visa. May I call on the head of our legal affairs group, Attorney Jenny June Romero. Ma'am.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's okay. Myself. Okay. Again, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is as excited as we are in this briefing. It's a very good sunny day here in, where is this, Pasay, in our office here in Pasay. I hope wherever you are, in Baguio, in Mactan, in Cavite, it's also a sunny day. Can you hear me from there? Am I coming in clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the welcome remarks of our DDG is a very good starting point because that's actually the reason why we're having this briefing. Our PEZA visa is its infancy. We just barely signed the MOA last November, and it's basically how many months from that November 2021? 6 months, 6 months old. And well, we expect what do you call this, concerns in the implementation or in the processing, in the application of our foreign nationals. So the briefing is conducted after our first briefing, after our signing. Well, the purpose is to check on each one of us. From your end, we will know what your concerns are, and we hope that we'll be able to address these concerns. If it is not during this briefing, probably we'll take it as what they call this, as a starting point to discuss with other agencies or discuss among ourselves to revisit these provisions. And from our end also is to remind our locators to comply with these requirements to make it easier also from our side to make this processing. And the objective is for us to make our lives easier and, of course, what they call this, give meaning to the principle of ease of doing business. Okay, so how we will be doing the briefing will be, we will not be going one by one on the provisions of the MOA or the IRR, but we will just be focusing on items that need to be given focus on, because these are the provisions where we encounter or where we receive concerns or great concerns from our locators. Okay, so we dive in. So the first screen tells us our the background why we have this PEZA visa. You're already aware of our sections 10 and 40 of the IRR, the PEZA law, where we were given the authority to issue the PEZA visa. So because of that authority of PEZA to issue the PEZA visa, we came up with a memorandum of agreement between our immigration, the Bureau of Immigration, and we signed that MOA and the IRR last November 10. And because of this, the PEZA visa is born. Okay, So we have the salient features of the PEZA visa. You're already aware what are those salient features? It is valid for 2 years, renewable for another 2 years. But even if it is for 2 years, it also depends on the need of the company. If the company or the foreign nationals service will only be needed for 1 year, then the PEZA visa will be given only for 1 year. These are the benefits for the exemption from BI requirements. We have the reduced processing time from few months under our 4782 visa to only 10 working days. That is 5 working days for PEZA and another 5 working days for the immigration. But please, we have to be, we have to emphasize this. It is upon submission or upon receipt of the complete requirements. Okay. The PEZA visa is not only for our foreign nationals, but also for the dependents of our foreign nationals. We go to the next slide. Okay. Most of our queries, most of the concerns that we receive from our locators, from our processors, are on the compliance with the documentary requirements. Okay, so to start off, we will say that number one, from now on, we emphasize that the documentary requirements must be filed in 3 folders. Okay, it will be, all the originals will be in the PEZA FNU folder, and then 2 other folders for the BI office, and then the other folder will be retained by our zone office. And we expect, of course, that in our documentary requirements, we have there the checklist. So we request also for better and fast processing of your applications, that these folders will be provided with tabbing. So for example, in accordance with the appearance in the folder, like for example, number 1 will be the application form, number 2 will be, you put tabbings for easier, for ease also on the part of the evaluator to check compliance on, of your requirements. So you're already well aware of the requirements. So for the foreign nationals employed by the PEZA company, these are the requirements. Okay. So on top of the folder will be the checklist, and then followed by the notarized application form, and then the notarized company's letter request, the certificate of registration, the passport, photocopy of the passport. Next slide, please. Okay. The certificate of employment, the certification signed by the CEO, the president of the company, stating the following. We have the number of the foreign nationals employed, and then the percentage of the foreign nationals employed versus the manpower, total manpower of the company. So that we will see if you're complying with the requirement on 5% threshold on employment of foreign nationals. Now we go to this requirement, which is, we are receiving also lots of questions here on alien employment permit. Next slide. Next slide. So we have the biodata. Next is the requirement on understudy program, or the technical or skills training program. We have the organizational chart. And then the requirement on if the applications were submitted by consultants, travel agencies, other than the organic representative of the company. So for the dependents, we have these additional requirements. We have the application form, the passport of the dependents, the birth certificate, and the marriage certificate. Most of our questions now that we are getting, or concerns that we are getting now from our applicants, are in this requirement also. On the birth certificate or the marriage certificate of the dependent, where the marriage is solemnized abroad, or the birth occurred or gone abroad. It's not in the Philippines, because if it is done in the Philippines, a mere document from the Philippine Statistics Office is sufficient. I'm talking about the apostilled or the authenticated or the attested birth certificate or the marriage certificate of the dependents. Okay, this is the last, the notarized affidavit of support guarantee executed by the PEZA company. Okay, you know about this already. Whether you're going to renew or whether you're going to apply for the first time, you'll be submitting the same documents. Next slide. Okay, the procedural requirements. It's just a quick review because you're already doing this, okay? So all those documents will be in, as I said a while ago, in 3 folders. The first folder will be for PEZA FNU. That's the folder which will contain the originals. And then the other folder, 2 folders, will be for immigration and for the zone enterprise. So the initial evaluation is conducted in our zone offices. For the IT companies in Metro Manila, you have here the office here at Zone Office Enterprise here at Double Dragon. And then for those in Mactan, you have our Mactan office, Baguio, Cavite, and our various offices in the private economic zones. Those are the offices where the initial evaluation is conducted. Okay, so once it is found complete by our zone offices will be issuing an endorsement. It will be addressed to the DG, endorsing the folder, and it will be given back to the company. The company then hands over personal delivery to our foreign national here at Double Dragon, and then that's where the 5 working day turnaround time will be counted. But mind you, as I said a while ago, the turnaround time of 5 working days will only start if it is already accepted as complete submission by any one of our evaluators at PEZA Head Office FNU. Okay, so after it is received by PEZA FNU as complete, the 5 working day will start, and then you expect that thereafter the PEZA approval will be issued to you. How we issue now the PEZA approval is through email. We email it, right, Feli? We email it. And then in that email, it is included there a notice that you have to submit this approval to the immigration office here at Double Dragon, at satellite office, within 30 days from receipt of that notice through email for implementation. So when you receive that, you go to the Office of Immigration, and then the immigration process will start also. After that, the implementation of the PEZA visa will be done. Okay, do you still have another slide, Drew, after the procedures? Okay. So this is the flow chart. Okay, can you go back to the flow chart, please? Okay. So this is the flow chart. This is the process on how we go about the application and the processing of your PEZA visa. It will end at the release of the passport with your implemented already by the immigration office here at the satellite office at Double Dragon. So now we'll focus on those provisions which we get a lot of questions from our locators. Okay, some of the questions are actually written, will be flashed after this discussion, because we ask our locators to give us questions and we checked, and maybe your question is also the concern of other companies. So this will be a very opportune time for us to be discussing this, and so that it will be clear for everyone how we answer these concerns. Okay, so we go, number 1 will be the pricing of the fees, the PEZA visa processing fees. Some are asking, how come that when we had the 4782 visa, we only pay 4,000 plus, 4,815, but now we are now paying the 5,000. Okay, well, This is the new Peso visa. And before we came up with this amount, we benchmarked with other IPAs. And how much are they asking for? Okay. So our counterparts, we have the Subic and the Freeport Authority of the Bataan, the AFAB. They are charging in dollars. Okay, and when we what they call this, get the equivalent of the peso equivalent of this peso dollar, it is much more or pareho lang? A little more. Well, a little more depending on the conversion rate at the time that you paid, but they're charging $100. $100 for SBMA and $50 for AFAB. 50.75. Okay. For us, for the processing of the application of Peso visa of the principal, we charge 5,000 pesos, whether it is for new or renewal, whether it is for 2 years or 1 year. For the dependents, we charge 3,000 for the dependent, whether it is new, renewal, 2 years or 1 year. Maybe a lot of you are asking, how come it is the same whether it is new or renewal at 5,000 and 3,000 new or renewal for dependent? Well, because we devote the same time, the same what they call this, energy and effort in processing whether it is a new application or renewal. Okay, and as I said, you are submitting the same kinds of documents, and for us, we evaluate it with such thoroughness in the same manner, whether it is a new renewal or a new application. So it doesn't matter whether it is new or renewal. I would like to emphasize that this 5,000 is only for the PEZA fee. When you go to immigration already and process for the implementation, another set of fees will be charged by immigration depending on the base of their admin mandated admin fees, which you will also learn from our immigration counterpart after this presentation. That's it for PEZA processing fees. This is also one issue which is usual concern, usual queries that we get from our locators, from our consultants. The concern on downgrading. Okay. This is covered by Rule 11 of our IRR. This is downgrading of the PEZA visa. Okay. These are the causes for downgrading. The resignation of the PEZA visa holder, termination of employment, the late filing of the PEZA visa, non-renewal, dissolution of the company. So how do we go about downgrading of the PEZA visa? Okay. A letter request has to be submitted by the applicant, by the PEZA visa holder, by the company, to our Director General, stating the reason why you want to cancel now your PEZA visa. So the reasons may be either of this mentioned above, the resignation, termination of employment, dissolution of the company. Okay. In addition to this letter to the DG, you also have to write a letter to the immigration asking for the downgrading of your PEZA visa. And also attached therein is the cancellation order from the PEZA. So what is the effect? If your PEZA visa already downgraded, from PEZA visa, you will now revert to the temporary visitor's visa. And in that order, immigration order, you are given 59 days, which is maybe extended upon request of the company for certain justifiable or meritorious reasons. And those periods, you use them to wind up the operations or wind up the affairs of the foreign national holder of the visa. Now we go to the downgrading of the 4782 visa under another rule. This is Rule 13. Okay. You remember that this PEZA visa is something new, and we are coming from the 4782 visa. So we call this transition. These are in the transitory provisions actually. So we transition from the 4782 visa to the PEZA visa. Okay. So we have these following rules. sometimes our applicant would say, they would come to our office and they would say renewal of the 47A2 visa. But actually, technically, that is the conversion, right? Because you can no longer renew the 47A2 because when the PESA visa, when our MOA took effect, and you're already authorized to issue the PESA visa, there is no more 47A2 visa to talk about when you are going to be employed in PESA companies. So it is actually, technically, it is conversion from the 47A2 visa to the PESA visa. Okay, so what are the rules on downgrading? The other slide, please. Okay, so the main rule when we are converting from the 47A2 to the PESA visa, not yet, the other slides. Drew, the other slide. Yeah, this one. Okay. So our rule under our MO and IRR is that, Drew, the other slide, please. That's the one. Okay, keep it that way. Stay there. Okay, because this is a very contentious, what do you call this, matter. Well, we are doing our very best to answer all of the queries, and we are doing great, right? How's everybody doing so far? Okay, so under this provision in our MO and IRR, the 47A2 visa, which is still valid, is of course recognized for as long as it is still, well, within the effectivity period. Even if the PESA visa power or authority of PESA is already here, we do not disregard them. We consider them still as valid, and we recognize it until it will be up to its last day of effectivity. Okay, so we maintain those 47A2 visa until they will expire. Okay, so number one rule is conversion from the 47A2 visa to the PESA visa, which is done before its expiry, but under the same employment conditions, there is no requirement on downgrading. Okay, we give a, what you call this, specific dates. We give specific examples. The 47A2 visa will expire on July 1. Okay, so it's still valid until July 1. You don't need to come to us and say, oh, the PESA visa is already effective, please change it already. You don't do that, okay? But 30 days or prior to the expiry of this 47A2 visa, and the services of this foreign national is still needed, you come to PESA now for the conversion of this 47A2 visa to the PESA visa. Do you need downgrading, or do we say that you'll be downgraded? It depends. If the conversion or the application for conversion is done prior to the expiry, prior to the July 1, and it will be under the same employment conditions. What does that mean? You'll still be employed by the same company who has employed this foreign national during the 47A2 visa, and still the same position, still like, for example, give me a position, supervisor, a supervisor, there will be no downgrading. So all you need to do is to comply with the requirements. Once the requirements are complete, it will be smooth sailing. It will be seamless. No downgrading. Clear on that? Number 2.
Transfer and change of position.
The 47A2 visa was also applied. Okay. The 47A2 visa was also applied for conversion to PESA visa prior to expiry, prior to July 1. But this time, na-promote, the foreign national was promoted, but still in the same company. Will there be downgrading? Yes, downgrading is required. So what's the difference? The difference is, as I said, it should be under the same condition, same employment condition. When you say renewal or conversion, no change at all. You're just transitioning from the 47A2 visa to the PESA visa. So that's the difference. All the conditions in your employment in the 47A2 visa must be maintained. All the data mentioned in the 47A2 visa must be maintained so that there will be no downgrading. I hope that is clear also on number 2. We go to number 3. What happens if the 47A2 was allowed to expire? for some reason, nakalimutan, forgotten to the one who is holding the what do you call this? The one who's in charge on the preparation or in the processing of this visa forgot about it, and or for any reason, the 4782 expired. So in this case, there will be downgrading, because when you say 4782 has expired, your stay in the Philippines is already illegitimate, illegal. I mean, there's no visa to speak of. A foreign national to have a legitimate or legal stay in another country, of course, in the Philippines, you have to have a visa. So when the 4782 visa expired, wala ka ng visa. So what do you do there? You immediately go to PEZA FNU. They will tell you there is downgrading here because you have an expired visa. You have to legalize your stay here. So number one, you have to write now PEZA about this expired document, about this expired visa. But the one who will be processing this downgrading will be the Bureau of Immigration. But in this case, for number 3 scenario, there will be no order to leave. Why? For as long as the services of this foreign national is still needed in the company, you will be required to submit an undertaking that you will be securing immediately the PEZA visa. And of course, under the same employment condition. So in this case, as I said, no order to leave, and you'll be processing the downgrading with immigration. Once downgrading order is issued by the immigration, a copy will be given to us if you're going to apply for the PEZA visa. So as I said, complete requirements, you'll be given, we will be given 5 calendar days in which to process your PEZA visa, or even less in those instances where, of course, meritorious situations, we will process your visa the soonest time we can. And then after the receipt of the PEZA visa, then your stay now in the Philippines is already legalized, okay? We have another scenario as regards the PEZA visa. For example, you're already a holder of the PEZA visa, and then that PEZA visa was again allowed to expire. For some reason, the one who is processing it forgot about it, and they did not renew. It's already renewed. In this case, kasi PEZA visa to PEZA visa already. They forgot all about it, and it is already expired. In this case, you will be filing again. There will be still a downgrading because you allowed the visa to expire. In all instances, when the visa expired, downgrading is a must. Is that very clear to everyone? Once the visa expires, downgrading is a must. The only difference there is if the one that expired is the 4782 visa transitioning to PEZA visa, and the service of the foreign national is still needed, there will be no order to leave. But the partner of that no order to leave is the applicant must execute an undertaking to continue, to secure the PEZA visa immediately and under the same employment conditions. Whereas, if it is the PEZA visa that was allowed to expire and you have it to be renewed, of course, PEZA visa still, an order to leave will be issued by the immigration. But in this case, the immigration, of course, if you're going to justify that your service is still needed, and you make those, what do you call this? You make a case with the immigration and with PEZA for that matter. We will be requesting a reconsideration. No, the company will be the one that will be requesting a reconsideration that the order to leave will be reconsidered or set aside, and it will be endorsed by PEZA. And well, I can say with certainty and with much confidence that in almost all instances, it is being reconsidered by the immigration also. That's how good our partnership is with the immigration. Okay, just let us know what your problems are, what your concerns are, and the sooner the better. Don't let a few days pass and then you just come to us when the problem is already it has become complicated already. Okay. So we leave this provision on downgrading. We go to the understudy. Yes, that's right. The understudy program. We have also received questions on understudy program. Some questions. I remember one law office telling us that if it is possible that we could do away with this understudy program. Well, as of now, I could tell you that we could not disregard this provision because it is so stated in our PEZA law and in our PEZA IRR that for every foreign national that a company, PEZA registered company, employs, there has to be a requirement on the submission of this understudy program. And this requirement is under this provision, that's section 3 of our rule 18 of the PEZA IRR. There is no template that we provide our company on how the understudy program or the technical skills or training program should look like that will be submitted to the PEZA FNU or submitted to our to PEZA as requirement for the PEZA visa, but just be guided by this provision on what are those needed to be stated in your document. And what we require is an affidavit, document in an affidavit form. So you ask your lawyer to prepare you one to comply with the requirements stated in this section. Well, I also received a phone call from one law office stating that, well, the understudy program is, as mentioned in the amended Foreign Investment Act, is the concern of the DOLE. Well, I saw that provision as an amendment of the FIA, and I had the chance to discuss this with our counterpart in DOLE, and this is what I got as an answer, which I'm sharing it right now, that the Foreign Investment Act requirement on the understudy program, they are more concerned there on the enterprises or the companies located outside the economic zone. This one, the understudy program, as mentioned in our IRR, is of course applicable inside the economic zone. That is very clear on that. It's very obvious. And PEZA, as I said, PEZA, there's no need to emphasize this, but PEZA, when it comes to economic zones, PEZA is the authority there. And it is our mandated and bounden duty to implement all the provisions stated in our law, and one of which is the requirement on the understudy program. And it is within the authority of PEZA, it is within our power to issue regulations, to issue guidelines on how our economic zones, on how the PEZA economic zones, which involve movement of goods, movement of people, this one is the visa is the movement of people. It is within the authority of PEZA to issue guidelines on how best we could see that the economic zone will be operating smoothly, and of course, the safety and the integrity of the country is security of the country is also protected. Okay. Issuance of the PEZA visa is a very big responsibility for PEZA. We are required by the government to submit reports on this PEZA visa issuances. In one of the MOA with DOLE, we are mandated to submit reports to them on how many foreign nationals are employed inside our economic zones, and these reports are required from us. What is it, quarterly or quarterly, on a quarterly basis? Well, another principle that I would like to emphasize here also is that the DOLE, of course, we have this principle on primary jurisdiction. As I said, PEZA is the authority when it comes to economic zones. It is within our authority to issue these requirements on the understudy program. So as to the question of whether or not at this time we could remove this requirement understudy program as a requirement for the issuance of the PEZA visa, well, the answer is no. The understudy program that you submit also to DOLE when you secure the AEP, you could still use that. You could use it actually to submit to as requirement or compliance to the application for PESA visa. You don't need to prepare another one. Are there instances, Feli, that the one that they submitted to AEP, to DOL and AEP is the same thing that they submitted to us?
That we can't say the finality, ma'am, because we don't say what they.
Okay, but as one of the requirements of the AEP is an understudy program also. Okay. So we leave this understudy program provision. Anything else? Any slides still, Drew? Drew, any more slides? No more? Okay, so that's the end of the slides. I will also take this opportunity to tell you to inform you about two things. Number one is on travel ban exemptions. Okay, during the height of the pandemic, the IATF issued this resolution requiring our locators to, or even foreign nationals, when they come to the Philippines, they are required to secure this travel ban exemption. And what we do is we endorse this request to the DFA. It is the DFA that process this. But even if the DFA is the one in charge of this, we do not leave our foreign nationals or even our locators to fend for themselves. We help them, okay? But as the pandemic, as the alert levels of the pandemic is being reduced, and we are now on alert 1, we're on alert 1, an ITF resolution was issued a few months back, I think 1 month ago or 2 months ago. Last March, that this travel ban exemption document from DFA is already set aside. We don't need foreign nationals coming into the Philippines, will not be required to secure that anymore. But I have to emphasize the travel pass is still being required from our locators, holders of 47A2 visa and PESA visa, who will be going out of the country traveling. You are still required to what do you call this? Present this document at the airport. Okay. I want to emphasize this also. As I said, this briefing is not only for us to know your concerns, but also for our locators to know our concerns, our what do you call this? Well, concerns on regarding your compliance with our requirements. Okay. There are many instances when our locators will bug our offices, even on weekends, telling us that their locators already in the airport and the foreign national was not allowed to board the plane. Why? Because they don't have a travel pass. So they will call the DG at such unholy hours, and the DG would call us also, well, 24/7, so it's okay. So they're laughing because I said it's okay. We say it's okay, 24/7 tayo. Okay, so they'll call, Jenny, there is a foreign national here, they're not allowed to board the plane, and know what happens. Mommy will check. And then, okay, Mommy, we'll do what we can do. We will do what we can, how we can help the company. So immediately after I drop the phone, I put down the phone at DG, I call the company. Ma'am, when did you apply for this travel pass? They would say, we did not apply for travel pass because we forgot. Okay, so this is a reminder that please, a travel pass is still needed. The IATF, in fact, last week or 2 weeks ago, I called up the DOJ if there's a possibility that this is already be dispensed with, and they said that as of now, the IATF has not issued any resolution to do away with this travel pass. So what do you call this? Without that notice, we still go ahead and process your travel pass. Please, before you go to the airport, how many days? Please give us also 3 days to process your travel pass. The requirements are very simple. Okay. So what else? Anything else? Travel pass, travel ban exemption, no more travel ban exemption. Okay. before we schedule this briefing, we ask our locators, our partners. Oh, I say partners because that's how we see you, our partners. We ask them for questions, and a lot of them very nicely, they emailed to me their questions, which we're going to flash now. And these questions might apply to you, and we have those ready answers to them. Okay, I'm sorry. Before we go to the frequently asked questions, maybe our immigration counterpart would like to say also a few words, reminders, or things that they want to emphasize regarding the applications that they are getting, that they are processing on the implementation of the PEZA visa. We are joined online by the chief of our PEZA BI satellite office at Double Dragon, si Mr. Richard Eli Gonzalez. He is our chief there. And I would like to take this really great chance to thank Mr. Richard kasi pag kami ay what do you call this, really I don't know how to what word I will use when we really are pressed for time, or even we don't know what to do anymore on this kind of application, and we have to, we recognize that there are circumstances, meritorious circumstances or compelling instances that we really have to sometimes sige pagbigyan na, but these are the additional requirements that they must submit. Okay, we don't want to be too, sa mga lawyers, too legalistic or too just looking at the provisions, but we look also on the other considerations, like for example, the services are really needed, and for medical reasons, we comply and we accommodate these requests of the companies. So, Mr. Richard Gonzalez, maraming salamat. Are you already online, sir? Naka-online na ba si Mr. Richard?
Yes, good morning po.
Yes, Sir Richard. And may I again introduce your staff here, Miss Mara and Miss Jenny. So, sir, I give the microphone to you. What's your what do you call this, reminders or any presentation that you wish to show to our locators? So, immigration.
Yes, ma'am. With regards to the presentation, no, hindi na kami we didn't prepare any kasi we'll just go through na lang yung mga concerns ng company or ng locators natin para kung yung manggaling na sa kanila, kung ano yung mga concerns nila, and masagot na rin natin once and for all para yun nga, ma-set natin kung ano yung mga requirements na kung saan sila nahihirapan or what, para so we can find a solution na aware din ang lahat ng locators para for fairness din na alam nila na lahat din naman sila tinutulungan namin as much as we can. Yun lang, siguro our reminder is we all have the same IRR na sinusunod, and it's clearly stated naman din sa IRR natin. We follow what's on the IRR. We accommodate what we can. We help as much as we could. Pero there are some requirements talaga that we cannot just dispense with, and for security and legal reasons, hindi rin namin pwedeng baliwalain. So hopefully, the company our locators wouldn't see that as pinahihirapan sila or what. So yun. Sa present siguro ma'am dyan sa atin, Jen and Ma'am Mara, baka meron silang gusto i-add. If wala, yung mga concerns na lang later siguro para ma-settle na din ng lahat naman po na discuss na po ninyo, Attorney Jenny. So yun po.
Thank you, Sir Chard. With that, Ma'am Mara, meron po kayong additional inputs pa, Ma'am Jenny? Wala? Okay. You might have seen me. I just got off the phone. I am checking with our chief of staff because, as I said, the PESA visa is still very young, 6 months old pa lang. But because of our very active engagement with our locators and our stakeholders, we listen to your concerns. And sabi ko nga, it's giving what do you call this, recognizing yung challenge of the government to make doing business easier for our locators. We are already on the path of revisiting some of our provisions and see on how best we could address the concerns and make it easier for our locators to comply and see how we could best help them. But at the same time, not compromising also yung mga legal requirements natin and not forgetting also the security of the country, because this is a very big responsibility, issuing a visa, and it's already in the hands of PEZA, and that's a very big responsibility. Kasi all foreign nationals who are issued visa by the PEZA, responsibilidad yan. That's the responsibility of PEZA. If something happens or some, well, I'm not saying na may mga illegal or ano dyan, they might, some unscrupulous organizations might take advantage of this to make use of this PESA visa to enter illegally or what, and we don't want that to happen. That's why we are very also careful in our requirements. And if in some way we will, what do you call this, relax on this requirement, we want that we will not be a party to some illegal activities or be a reason for some untoward incidents to happen. Okay, so with that, as I said, you might have seen me, I just got off the phone. I checked with our office of our DG because 2 days ago I have already prepared a top management has approved that we will be again engaging with the immigration for some revisions of these provisions. Well, it's too early to say, but we are hopeful that I have already made initial engagements with immigration, and I think it will have also, it will bear positive fruit. And these are concerns on requirements on apostilled documents, because this is one, or if not the most, Feli, this is the most concerned by yung apostilled document, ano? So, okay, the apostilled document, we recognize that there's difficulty in securing this from some countries. I would say some countries. You know why? Sabi ko, nagko-question ako, sabi ko, how come the other companies comply? And some other companies, I will say, nahihirapang daw mag-comply. So, of course, doing the balancing act, to use the word of our DG, we always do balancing act. We propose a certain relaxing of this procedure. And the procedure that that we are proposing to immigration, and as I said, I hope this will be given positive response, is that hindi na lang yung original na apostilled or authenticated or attested, but we will be willing to receive yung mga Xerox copy, photocopy, but with marginal note that the original has been presented initially, presented already to our evaluator. So they will be making the marginal note, original seen and evaluated. So the photocopy will be acceptable. Another, what do you call this? Another supplementary or another document that is acceptable there is the printout of that apostilled. We were informed that probably also a lot of offices, or all our offices here and abroad, they have already strategized on how to go about their business because of the pandemic. So a lot went online. So some transactions went online. And one of which that we are hearing is that some embassies are issuing this apostilled or attested or authenticated document online. So it is not covered by our IRR because at that time we have not heard about this apostilled doing online. So we are recommending that with our immigration, that once it is approved, we will also be allowed to receive printouts of these documents issued abroad. But of course, again, as our safety net, as our what they call this, to increase our level of confidence in receiving only printout copies, we will be asking the foreign national, the petitioning company, to execute a document, a notarized undertaking or an affidavit, what do you call this, attesting to the validity and the veracity or the legality on how this printout was issued by their foreign office or foreign embassy. Another improvement that we hope to see once this joint memorandum circular is signed by the Immigration and PEZA is on what is this? The AEP. The AEP. In AEP, the Alien Employment Permit, we have a very good and very active engagement with the DOLE. And they always tell me when I call them up for a virtual meeting that the turnaround time is really very short. Ilang days lang turnaround time nila? 3 days lang daw. But of course, with submission of complete requirements. Okay? Submission. So we cooperate. We encourage our locators to please cooperate in the compliance so that we will be able also to do our part, to do our duty, which is to process your applications in the time that we promised you. Okay? So for the AEP, it is understandable that we will not be asking for the original because that is yours, the card. So for us, we are again accepting the photocopy with the marginal note, original seen and validated, signed by our, what do you call this, by our evaluator. Another improvement there is just an emailed verification, validation from the regional office that they issued an AEP. That's already acceptable also to us. Another is, ano pa? Yes, the emailed confirmation. So those documents will already be acceptable as sufficient compliance as regard that requirement on alien employment permit. Okay. Another improvement that we wish to implement once this joint memorandum circular is signed by Immigration and PEZA is on the 30-day requirement in the application of PEZA visas or the conversion. I am smiling because this is the one that, again, second to downgrading. This is the one also, or apostilled. This is the one that we get a lot of queries, requests for considerations. Okay, it is in our IRR that the renewal or the conversion of your visas applications must be filed at least man lang 30 days prior to their expiry. Okay, prior to the expiry. Bakit naman ganon 30 days? Well, a lot of lawyers, they are arguing with me that they would say, isn't it that a document is valid up to the last day that it is effective? Yes, sir, I completely agree with you. But also, that 30-day was, what do you call this, was provided us on our part to process your application. Remember, we have how many companies? 4,000 plus requesting for our service on the issuance of the PEZA visa. And mind you, whether that company is one of the top companies in PEZA or in the world, or it is just a startup company, we give and devote the same amount of dedication to all these applications. Okay? So we hope that during those times that you are discussing with me on this 30-day period, you also look at it from our own point of view. And we are also working within the, what do you call this, within the manpower we have. Well, ano na yung manpower ng FNU, so it will be able to process and serve you well. Okay? With that, I hope that this will be one of the improvements because we have also requested, we have also put there in our joint memorandum circular that we still maintain the 30-day period, but I put there that in case of meritorious circumstances, compelling reasons, we will now allow we will now accept applications that are filed less than the 30-day period or less than 30-day prior to its expiry. Okay, but I hope you will not be abusing that with that caveat. I hope you'll not be abusing that, and you will use that also, that accommodation or given to you in a service. You have to use that also, what do you call this? Just a moment.
Ma'am, Sir Richard is raising his hand. Richard. Sir Richard is raising his hand.
Okay, our counterpart from immigration is raising his hand. Okay, I'll just finish the sentence, Chard. As I said, these are all improvements which we hope to be implemented after the joint memorandum circular will be favorably, hopefully favorably signed or favorably approved by our counterpart, by Commissioner Morente. But our hopes are high on that. Okay, so our chief from immigration, Chard, he's raising his hand. Yes, sir, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Just some clarifications lang, ma'am, no, on the submission of the sa documentary requirements.
Okay, please.
Well, as early as now, ma'am, we can guarantee naman as to the submission, yung sa apostille na ano, yung submission kasi nung photocopy, for the information din ng ating locators. Pagdating naman sa bureau, whatever is endorsed by PEZA FNU, kung photocopy man ang naka-attach or original, as long as it is attached sa order signed by DG, we are accepting it naman, and we accept that as valid kahit photocopy ang nakalagay doon. So yun nga, doon kasi sa joint memo natin na proposed, yung provisions na yun, yes. Siguro sa ngayon, we yung on that provisions, as early as now, we guarantee that we will recommend din naman kasi we've been practicing that naman. As to the other provisions, pagdating naman po sa doon, ma'am, sa ano nyo ng AEP, reminder lang, no, for the locators natin, if the submission of photocopy ng AEP ay will be sufficient sa application until the approval process ng kanilang PEZA visa, as a regulatory body, as a regulatory agency.
Sir, we lost you.
Requirement namin that the original AEP or certified true copy of the AEP should be presented at the time of implementation. So during the application for implementation, yung pa rin, we still have to see yung original na AEP or mag-submit pa rin sila ng certified true copy.
Okay. Sir, ako mag-question ako in behalf of the company dun sa sentence ninyo.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay.
No problem.
Di ba dun sa folder na isubmit nila yung photocopy, tapos nakalagay lang marginal note, original seen and validated, and then pinirmahan ng evaluator natin. So what you are telling now, what you are reminding now our locators is, even pag ni-receive ni FNU yung ganoong photocopy, when they will go to immigration for the implementation, you still insist on either the certified true copy or the original card itself.
Yes, that's still part of the requirement po. Baka ma-miss din kasi nga naka-attach na doon. The original AEP po kasi should be presented. We also have to check kasi, ma'am, yung cards nila, yung actual AEP card, even the TIN, ma'am, hinihingi pa rin namin yung TIN number, yung TIN nila, proof of TIN, kasama pa rin siya sa requirement ng during the implementation. Di naman namin siya kukunin. You really have to present it lang to us for us to go to approve for the implementation ng kanilang PEZA visa.
Okay. So that is very clear to everyone, ha? Kahit na tinanggap namin yung photocopy, tapos sinabi namin na original signed, expect requirement ng immigration, dapat ipakita sa kanila yung card ninyo mismo. Or kung hindi yung card, certified true copy. Okay? Remember the AEP actually is a prerequisite to the issuance of the PEZA visa, because the PEZA visa is an employment visa yan. So we rely also heavily on the alien employment permit. So whatever is stated in the alien employment permit card ninyo should jibe with all the data, with all the personal information that you said or that you mentioned in your application. So if there will be discrepancy doon sa alien employment permit mo, ang position mo doon, the position stated in the alien employment permit is say engineer 5 or engineer no, it cannot be manager kasi position engineer, some kind of an engineer. And then in your application with PEZA, it's a different kind of position. We could not accept that. Okay? More so when it's already in the implementation side ng immigration. Okay. I am going ahead of the different kinds of questions, but since we are in the alien employment permit, there are instances that happened na ganito. All the documents that were submitted to PEZA, pare-pareho. All the data information, the personal information were the same. We called it from the alien employment permit. But when they went to immigration for the implementation, another card, another AEP was issued. So immigration, of course, understandably, will have to, hindi naman deny, but they will have to come back to us and ask us, this folder ibalik sa amin because of this issue. So we again call the company to explain what happened. And these kinds of discrepancies, it would take time on the processing of your visa. So that's the time that the company would say, akala ko ba it's too easy to get a PEZA visa, how come we are encountering these problems? And there are delays. So we would say that delay is not entirely due to us, but well, we say concerns on the interpretation of these provisions or requirements. So this, I hope that with this briefing, these concerns will now be addressed, and it would somehow, kung hindi man totally eliminate, it would lessen yung ating delay on your side, and of course delay on our side also, because as much as you want that these matters will be dispensed with from your clients, kami din, we also have the ISO to comply with, and we don't want delays on our part. Kasi if we have delays, it will not look good. It will not what do you call this? It will not have a very good perception on our office, and we have also grades to aim. Zero backlog, the ARTA. We have agencies to report to on the way we perform our duty. We have the ARTA, Commission on ARTA, the ease of doing business, and also we want also to get our own PBB. So if our grade on delays is really that high, we have no PBB. If you don't know what that is, it's a performance-based bonus. So if you are as excited or as eager in finishing your clients in the processing of your visa, we also have that sort of dedication to finish our job. Okay, so at this point, we will now flash the questions that we got from our locators. I hope that it will help in solving these concerns. Mabilisan lang tayo kasi we already have 30 minutes left to do this. Okay, so can we flash the questions? So these are the frequently asked questions. Some may be too how do you call this, too simple, but it may not be simple to the one who asked it. Okay, so bear with us. Okay, so who signs the application form? It must be signed by both the petitioning company and the foreign national. So we make it quick. Who signs in behalf of the company? The CEO, any one of the officers listed in the updated company GIS. What's a GIS? It's General Information Sheet that is submitted or coming from the SEC, or any other officer of the company duly authorized by the company. So question 3. I-scroll up mo nga, Kwan. Sir, can you put up the slide? Okay, if the official who signs in behalf of the petition company is a foreigner, are there additional requirements? Of course. Submit a photocopy of the bio page of the visa of the foreign national. Why do we require this? Kasi we want that the foreign national who is signing in behalf of the company is also legally staying in the Philippines. Okay. Is a mere photocopy of the certificate of registration sufficient compliance for the application? Yes. What is considered compliance as regards the certificate of employment? The employment, is it the employment contract? Okay, the employment contract must state, of course, the dates kung kailan ka you will be employed. The dates when your services are needed, and it must be signed. Okay, I am getting a what do you call this, reminder also from our FNU OIC. If you have corrections in the documents that you submitted, please countersign them before we could accept it. Okay, this is very important. Question 6. Should incomplete submissions folders be accepted? No. Incomplete submissions folders must not be accepted and must be returned to the applicant. You know why? Because we are getting a lot of sabi ko na diretso ko na complaints. Sabi, ang bagal daw ng paggawa ng PEZA visa, and why is it that it's easier to process the 4782 than the PEZA visa? Rather than being defensive, I went immediately to our foreign nationals unit. Is there some truth to it? Wala naman daw po, kasi if they only submit complete requirements, we will be able to comply with the turnaround time. From the immigration side, from the PEZA side, we as much as possible meet that 5-day turnaround time. Kaya lang, I want naman to to plead from our locators. You are our partners, our consultants, our HR managers. Please, you are our partners. Help us in doing this initiative seamless and easy for the both of us. Sabi ko nga, para naman magkaroon ako ng PBB, kayo naman maging good sa inyong locator, sa inyong mga clients who you service on this PEZA visa application. Submit complete requirements. The requirements are in the website. If you've got difficulty in understanding what are these requirements, call us up. Our numbers are there. So in the process pa lang that you submit, before you submit, you you engage us already. You ask questions already, so that when you submit, the lesser na the lesser the chance that it will not be accepted kasi namali kayo or what. We are all here to assist you. Okay? So as I said, incomplete submissions, they are not submissions at all, and we will be returning them. We will be returning them. And if you return them and you come back to us for the other requirements, that's that time lang na mag-move yung 5 working days. Okay? When we accept na as correct and complete. We will have there the monitoring sheet. We will be telling our evaluators. In fact, they're doing it. We check what are incomplete so that you would know how to comply. Okay, what is considered sufficient? AEP? Is certified true copy of the AEP sufficient? Opo. But there are regional offices who do not issue AEP na certified true copy. So what we do now, what you can do there is, i-photocopy nyo na yung AEP ninyo, you have it photocopied, and when you go to our zones for submission, you bring with you the original. When the evaluator, what the evaluator does is just look at the original. He compares, or she compares the original with the photocopy, and they will make a marginal note. Original seen, and that's okay already. We have a comment from our immigration, Ma'am Mara.
If I may add, ma'am, if I may add, you can also present the photocopy of your official receipt for the AEP. It's proof enough. It's good enough to be sufficient as proof for your renewal or the application of your AEP in the absence of the actual card. If you don't have the card at the time of application, because definitely we require the CPC copy or the actual card on the implementation of the visa already. So during the submission to the PEZA,
I-off ko yung voice para hindi siya mag-reverb.
your
No. Say, go ahead, ma'am.
when your folder is being forwarded to BI for pre-evaluation, we already sent even a copy of the OR because it has already the official number there. So that is good enough for me.
Okay. I-clarify ko ha yung sinabi ni Ma'am Mara. Okay? Ma'am, paki-off yung pa natin para tayo mag-reverb. Doon sa speaker niya. Ikon mo nga yung speaker ni Ma'am. Okay. Okay. Yung sa speaker na para hindi siya mag-reverb. Okay. Okay. I will clarify what Miss Ma'am Mara said a while ago on the AEP. Okay. For PEZA FNU, you really have to secure first the AEP, have the AEP released first by the DOLE before you will apply with PEZA. Why? Number one, this has already been emphasized many times because number one, the validity of your PEZA visa is dependent on the validity of your AEP. Okay. The AEP card. Wait. Let me rephrase my answer. Okay. The validity of the PEZA visa somehow has to be covered. Yeah, we consider the validity period of the AEP when we approve your PEZA visa. Okay. For example, remember, we could issue maximum of 2 years na PEZA visa. Okay. But if the company only needs the services of the foreign national for 1 year, then of course we only give you 1 year. Okay. But we compare that with the validity period of your AEP. Kung yung AEP that was issued by the DOLE is good for 5 years, hindi kami pwedeng magbigay ng 5 years din. Why? Because our law allows us only to give PEZA visa maximum of 2 years. Okay, that's clear. Number two, when the company for example, has an AEP already, pero ang validity na lang niya is say hanggang December. We already now is May. So ilan na lang ang naiiwan? 6 months, 7 months. And you're going to apply with us for a PEZA visa. We could not give you 1 year or 2 years, even if PEZA is authorized to give a PEZA visa maximum of 2 years. Why? Because your AEP period validity is only 7 months na lang. Bakit? As I said, the PEZA visa is a working visa, not any kind of visa. So to legalize your working in our PEZA economic zones, we have to jibe it with the validity period ng AEP ninyo. So we could not give a validity ng PEZA visa beyond yung 7 months remaining for your AEP. So why am I very on this? We wanted to have that requirement na AEP will really be secured first before you come to PEZA and secure a PEZA visa because of that situation. What happens if wala pa kayong AEP, just a what do you call this? Just a ano sinabi ni ma'am? Official receipt. There is no way for us to put what specific covered date will be stated in your PEZA visa approval. And we tried that in the very early months of we did that just to accommodate all the requests of our company. We did that strategy at the 3 months of the PEZA visa. Nagkaroon kami ng maraming corrections, maraming amendments, nagkaroon ng complications tuloy. So really, we came to the conclusion, we had lots of meetings with DOLE, with immigration and technical working group namin. We came to the conclusion na talagang we could not do away with the AEP card being issued first before applying with PEZA because of that provision on the period covered in the validity of the PEZA. we could not naman issue a PEZA visa approval and then every now and then papalitan namin. It would cause so much confusion in our documentation. Okay? So again, to summarize, you must really secure the AEP before you will come to PEZA and apply for your visa. What Ma'am Mara is telling only is that since na-present nyo na sa PEZA yung original or the AEP itself, it's okay na sa kanila na when it will be time for the implementation, kahit yun na lang ang document na isasubmit ninyo, ma'am. Is that the way it should be understood, Ma'am Mara?
As you have mentioned earlier, in the inception of the implementation of the PEZA visa, because we already allowed conversion from 47A2 to PEZA visa, at the time when they were trying to file for their PEZA visa approval, they already submitted receipts of being as proof of AEP being renewed. But because they could not produce the actual card at that moment, we accepted the official receipts of that, especially for NCR, because NCR does not issue CPC. There are also AEP issued in NCR, which are already 2 years or 3 years old. And then the remaining months that is in the AEP that has been forwarded to the Bureau as proof of their AEP validity, we could not also seek for the OR because it has already been, it might have gotten lost in the last 2 years. They could not look for it. And because NCR does not issue anymore a CPC, we also rely on certain publications, like if their 4780 is already an extension and there's the remaining number of months is for the PEZA visa, we already accept it as good for so long as the actual card is there.
Okay.
At the time of implementation.
Correct.
But because we do pre-evaluation, we don't have anything with us, not even the passport. In fact, sometimes the passports are different already when it's time for implementation. As such, I am glad to hear that PEZA is insisting now for the actual card on before even proceeding for
hindi naman yung hindi naman yung actual card actually, ma'am, but let me be very clear. What I am saying is before that you're going to apply for a visa, you must have already secured your AEP. Now, what document you're going to submit to PEZA as proof that you have secured that AEP are the following documents. So number 1, you could submit to us a certified true copy of that AEP, or pag hindi certified true copy, i-xerox nyo na yung card ninyo, and when you go to our zones, you show them the original, you show them the photocopy, and they will say na, they will compare it and they will say na this is the photocopy of the original and this already okay. Ganoon po. Yeah. But what is really very important, I would like to emphasize is before you're going to apply for the PEZA visa, dapat na-issuehan na kayo ng AEP. Yun po. Okay?
That is the reason why immigration requires for the actual card or the CPC upon implementation.
Correct.
Because kailangan po namin ibangga yun doon
Correct.
sa PEZA visa.
Correct.
So kung ano po yung approved AEP term should be either more or within the PEZA
AEP period.
that has
Correct.
been issued. So that is the reason why we seek for the actual card.
Yes.
Because it like what you have indicated earlier, sometimes in between the implementation period or the PEZA approval period, they change the card.
Tama.
They change position. And what is presented on the actual day of implementation is totally different.
Different na. Okay, that's right. Okay. So everybody got that? Kaya nga sabi ko nga, from the time you applied up to the time that the implementation is done by immigration, everything must be the same. Hindi nag-apply kayo, it's not that you applied with PEZA, you submitted this kind of AEP, and then after from PEZA, you went na sa implementation, you have a different AEP, that's the one that you're going to present to immigration. That will not be allowed. Okay? So from PEZA visa approval up to implementation, you must have the same condition, all same conditions of employment as shown by the AEP that you submitted to us. Okay? Okay, let's proceed. If there are inconsistencies in the application form and the passport, like misspelled names we'll be following yung mga nakalagay sa passport. Okay. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Mara.
Discrepancy in the surname, especially for married people. You know, when at the time of application you were still single, and a few months after, or just a month after, you are married. It happens both to male and female. You know? We have already some samples wherein Japanese men adopt the surname of the wife. So we need legal proofs.
So what happens po pag Ma'am Mara, you submit, you return the folder to us, or it will be from your end that you will be requiring additional requirements from the foreign national? How do you do that?
For the foreign national mom, especially if it is the spouse that changes her name or his name, we require the apostilled document already, because that is the only thing for marriage. Unless they got married here in the Philippines, so the PSA is good enough. The other thing is because it changes the character of the passport in itself, so we will return for the change of name in the
Okay.
because that's given.
Correct. Okay.
Unless you place an AKA already, it's one of the same.
Yes. Okay. So again, dear partners, the bottom line is from the time that you applied to us up to the end, which is the implementation, all conditions must be the same. All information must be the same. Because if there will be revisions in the middle of the application, in the middle of processing, it will again start your application. The folder will be returned to us. Either the folder will be returned to us and we will be contacting you for compliance, or immigration office itself will be the one contacting you for some compliance. Okay, so that's clear. If the application form is not notarized, will we accept? No, kasi nakalagay naman doon notarized. If submitted form does not state the company's total workforce, is it sufficient? Ito yung 5% requirement. Kasi a company, a PEZA registered company, is allowed to employ up to 5% of its workforce. So what we do is you really have to submit those data, dear partners. State nyo how many employees, how many foreign nationals you're already employing versus the total workforce. Para hindi na maibalik yung folders ninyo for compliance. Okay. Anything else, Mary, on that? Okay. Pag halimbawa, okay. Our OIC mentioned, which is correct, na tingnan nyo, additional service nila sa inyo, ha? Na even if wala yung percentage, kung nakakompute naman na namin, we don't anymore return the folder to you, kino-compute na lang ng ating mga evaluators. But, as I said, there are 4,000 plus locators. Let us not be the one computing every now and then. So compute it from your end already and you submit the complete requirements. Next question is, when is the authorization letter given to the processor staff task transact considered sufficient? Okay, this is very minor. Please go up. Yung kwan natin. Next question. Okay. Okay, this is very important. Question 11. What happens if in the application for renewal, the job position stated in the AEP is, I cannot read this one. Merong, okay. What happens if in the application for renewal, the job position stated in the AEP is different from the position stated in the submitted documents? The answer will be, we will return questions. So you see the answer there. Your application will be, the folder will be returned to the applicant because you will be required to downgrade. You remember the rules a while ago on downgrading? Para hindi downgrading, all the employment conditions must be the same. This one, there is a change in position. So there has to be downgrading. So the rules on downgrading or the provisions on downgrading, you write PEZA, you write immigration about downgrading. And once the BI order of downgrading is issued, that's the time that you're going to come back to PEZA for the application of the PEZA visa. Question 12. company's organizational chart. This is very simple also. Bakit kinakailangan ng organizational chart? So that we would know where in the company, what they call this, in the company organization, are these foreign nationals being employed? Are they the president? Are they occupying managerial positions, technical positions? Okay. 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 Fel, ganito. When you have comments na lang, you could jump in and okay. So our OIC again mentioned, nag-plead naman sa inyo, help them naman daw in their evaluation. When you submit your organizational chart, please submit something which could be read by them kasi their eyes are already failing them. Okay? Okay, and nag-jive in ang immigration. Sabi naman nila, yes, please do that pleading also in behalf of immigration. Please submit legible, clear copies. And as much as possible, yung nakikita naman kasi their eyes are already failing them. They are already having difficulty reading your documents. So please help them. Sabi ko nga, this is a partnership. Let us help each other. If you will be in our side, will you be able to see that organizational chart which is only seen with a microscope? Please help us, okay? So legible documents submitted, clearer copies. When is the authorization letter given to the processor staff? Okay, we have answered this. Okay, up some more. Okay. Okay. Feli, jump in. Go ahead.
For question 13, in addition po, photocopy.
Can they hear you, Feli?
I think so, ma'am. My mic is on. The authorized staff must bring photocopy together with the first two items. Photocopy of their ID of the authorized person, ma'am. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we're done with question 3. Okay, question 14. Question 14, please.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Okay, question 14. Take a look at question 14. Okay, may we hear from our chief, Mr.
Yes.
Richard? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, in addition lang sa submission ng documents, no, may we reiterate din sa amin sa immigration. Please, during your application process, as all passports po, we do not need all your passports to occupy the entire space of the bond paper. As simple photocopy lang po. All the details must be readable and captured. Yung buong passport ng page. Buong page ng passport. I'm sorry, buong page ng passport. Hello, ayan, narinig po ba ako?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir
okay
Richard,
na po.
what you are
Yes po.
emphasizing is the bio page, ano?
Basta po mag-a-attach po sila ng photocopy ng passport, including po doon sa may nakalagay na required yung arrival stamp. Hindi po na ibig sabihin yung mismong stamp lang, no? The entire page ng passport, kailangan naming makita yon. Not only the affixed stamp, yung square na yon, hindi lang po yon. Yung buong page po ng passport, please. You do not need to submit yung entire na bond paper occupied nung photocopy ng passport. Hindi na po kailangan. Simple photocopy lang po.
But the photocopy must really show that it is Xerox or it is photocopied from the passbook. Kumbaga nakikita yung page ng passbook.
Yes, the entire passport po.
Yes.
Opo, back to back po. Yung buong mismong page po ng passport.
I hope that is very clear to our partners, to our locators. Pag sinirox ninyo yung item in the passport, don't Xerox only that portion. Kasi huwag nyong i-enlarge to the point na hindi na makikita yung page ng passbook. So when you have it Xerox, it must be in such a manner that nakikita yung page ng passbook to show na you Xerox that or you reproduce that from the passbook itself. From the passport, from the passport itself. Kumbaga, yung edges ng passport itself nakikita. Hindi lang yung item doon sa loob ng passport. Kasi if you're going to focus on that, we would not know where did you Xerox that from. we want to know that it was photocopied from the passport itself. So the edges of the passport must be seen. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. So next question, please. We make it fast. Next question, question 15. If the principal of 4782 visa, valid for many more months, decides to apply for inclusion of his dependents, what is his visa be issued? Okay. Ito yung scenario. The foreign national is already in the Philippines. Holder siya of 4782 visa. Meron pa siyang 1-year validity for its 4782 visa. And then the family comes to the Philippines and they want to avail of the PEZA visa na kwan. What kind of visa will we be given to the or will be secured for the dependents? That's the question for question 15. So for the foreign national, meron siyang option. Either mag-downgrade ng 4782 para all of them will now be PEZA visa, or the foreign national will maintain the 4782 visa and the dependents will just be allowed to, what they call this, renew their tourist visa. It all depends on the option or the convenience of the foreign national. Okay. Fairly additional input?
What is practical, what is convenient, and what is economical on the part of the foreign nationals? Thank you.
Kasi pag halimbawa magre-renew, if the foreign national will just be required to renew yung tourist visa and the expiry of the 4782 visa will still be for long period, it will be more expensive for the foreign national. So they may wish to consider just downgrading the 4782 visa to PEZA visa, and all the visas of the dependents will also be PEZA visa. Why? Because whatever is the visa secured by the foreign national must be the same kind of visa secured by the dependent. It could not be na 4782 visa yung principal, PEZA visa yung dependent. Because as I said, dependent, their visa will just be dependent from the principal's visa. That's the one of that. So question 16, is advance early filing of PEZA visa application allowed? Yes, but like for example, the PEZA, the 4782 is good for 2 years. The foreign national learned 1.5 years. Okay, we make it, for example, the 4782 visa is still valid for 1.5 years. And then the foreign national learned that, PEZA visa is already in effect. Can I transfer now to PEZA visa? Of course, technically, pwede. But the requirements are, number one, you have to give us a very compelling reason why do you want now to go to PEZA visa when you still have a 4782 visa. Remember, the 4782 visa is still being recognized and still valid. Number two, for as long as you comply with all the requirements, there's no question on that. So how do we answer that? Yes, for as long as you give us a reason, compelling reason why you want to go PEZA visa already, the 4782 visa is still valid and compliance with complete requirements. Is downgrading required for conversion for 782 visa when the position of the foreign national is changed? Yes, you have already painstakingly explained that to you earlier. Validity of PEZA visa is coterminous with the AEP validity. Do PEZA and DOLE have an agreement on this matter? We discussed this already with the technical working group with DOLE and immigration and PEZA, and they say that they could not limit the number of years na effectivity of alien employment permit just because the PEZA visa is good only for 2 years. If the company applied for 3 years and the DOLE is authorized naman to issue 3 years, they could do so. But when you go to PEZA for that PEZA visa, we could only give you maximum of 2 years. And then we asked DOLE if they could make make accommodation that for as long as a foreign national is the one applying na PEZA for PEZA visa, kung po pwede 2 years lang, they said they are not yet hindi naman open to that con, but they at the moment there is no positive response yet on that aspect. So next question, question 18. Request to exclude the understudy programs among the requirements. I have already explained this also. We could not do that as of the moment, because it is our bounden duty to comply and to implement the requirements in our IRR, which states that for every foreign national issued a PEZA visa, we should require an understudy program. Bakit sa Foreign Investment Act? Because under Foreign Investment Act, DOLE, ang jurisdiction ng DOLE is outside the economic zone, and jurisdiction ng PEZA is inside the economic zone. PEZA has the authority to issue these guidelines for us to, PEZA is the authority when it comes to operation, management, and administration smoothly of economic zones. Next question, 20. Discrepancy of position stated in AEP and the application of PV. As I have said, what Mara explained already very lengthily kanina, all the information from the start of your application up to implementation must all be the same. No changes in the middle of the processing. Otherwise, you go back and we start again the process. What happens to applications for conversion or renewal of visas? By a company that merged with another company. Okay, company A, company B, both PEZA registered, nag-merge sila. Si company A has a foreign national na inapplyan ng 4782 visa. When they merged, what happens to that situation? There is a change of employment status. What is our rule when there's a change of employment status? There is what? Downgrading. Okay. Question 22. 4782 renewal conversion filed less than 30 days. Okay. As I said, this is among the frequently most requested ng mga kumpanya. We still maintain, I hope, we encourage you, please help us in the processing, kakaunti ang tao natin, but we are not using that as a reason for you na hindi namin mahirapan kaming that we have difficulty in processing your applications, but you help us, we help you also. Please do not let the last hour to submit your application for renewal. Okay, be very mindful about your expiry dates. So we encourage you to please observe this 30-day period for submission of your applications for renewal. But as I said, we are doing our best also to accommodate your request and in ease of doing business. We'll listen to your pleas. So we are in the process of amending this provision by saying now that in meritorious situations, in justifiable reasons, we will be accepting those applications filed less than 30 days prior to expiry. But we also give you obligations on that. Number one, I am proposing there, and I strongly propose that this will be the provisions when you submit applications less than 30 days. Number one, you are not encouraged to make travel arrangements until such time that the implementation or approvals are issued by PEZA and Immigration. Okay, to give us also time to process your applications. Take for example, there are companies now that they are applying for renewal, conversion, or 10 araw na lang, last 10 days. As I said, we are servicing 4,000 companies nationwide, and we devote as much energy and dedication, same amount of time to all applications, whether it comes from a big company or it comes from a startup company. So help us. Do not wait for the nth hour, last hour to process your applications for renewal. Okay. Where are we now? Question 23. Can we request for consideration of filing PEZA visa application with incomplete requirements? I am sorry, pagagalitan po ako ng FNU staff. Huwag naman po. If you want that your applications will be processed smoothly and complying with the turnaround time of 5 working days, please also comply. As I said, this is a partnership. We'll listen to you, you listen to us. Okay? And you have your right, but your right carries with it certain obligations. Your right to have your applications processed in the time that we promised, but your obligation is to comply with the requirements. We help each other. Okay? Next question, 24. 24, please. Ala, nagugutom na yata tayo. Next question. Okay, we have one of your questions in the chat box. You'll be getting all of this from our PPRG, and you'll be answering all of them, and we'll be giving them back to you. Okay, but even then, if you'll not be able to finish all your questions there, you have our numbers, you have our emails, we make our lines open, and we'll be here for you for all your questions. Okay, so next 24, is it possible to renew the visa until the end of its validity? As I said, okay, but please do not abuse that accommodation of PEZA. You help us, we help each other. Okay, only in meritorious, compelling reasons like medical or really justifiable reasons. But we encourage you to still, please, 30-day period. 25, application for national changes position, but the same employer, it is possible not to downgrade, cannot be. As I said, para walang downgrading, renewal or conversion prior to expiry should be the same employment status, same employment conditions. Next question. Do we have hard copy of that so that we could see already? Okay, next question. 26. Allowing only PEZA visa holders to be employed in PEZA registered enterprises. Yes, I've got questions from law offices telling me na since mabagal naman daw ang PEZA, which I violently object. I am sorry, but really I listen to you, but I would say that hindi mabagal or ano. There has to be compliance that is to be done by the locators also. That stops the running of the period for us to process your applications. So they say, what happens if you will just get another kind of visa, hindi na PEZA visa? Well, my answer will be like this. It is the prerogative of the foreign national to get another kind of visa to legalize their stay in the Philippines. But to be allowed to be employed in a PEZA registered company, to be employed in the PEZA economic zones, you must secure the PEZA visa. Why? Number one, that is our monitoring tool. That is our tool to monitor the movement of our foreign nationals inside the economic zone. If the foreign national will be employed in PEZA and then they will be getting another kind of visa, and they will be reporting to another kind of office kasi that is not our visa. That is, for example, a 9A, 9G, which are not visa of PEZA. We will not be able to monitor you. If something happens to you, if you will be involved in some we could not say offhand kami kasi nasa PEZA economic zone kayo and we still are responsible. And you don't want to be responsible when you will not want naman to get a PEZA visa. Number two, as I said, PEZA is the authority when it comes to management, operation, and maintenance of economic zones. And that includes movement of people, movement of goods, movement of our foreign national. Number three, for many long years now, 25 years, this mandate of PEZA to issue PEZA visa was not enforced by PEZA. So it is just now that we are enforcing it. It is just now that we're implementing it, and we want it to implement it really for the betterment and for the smooth operation of our economic zones. And to allow a foreign national to get another kind of visa would undermine that authority given to PEZA in issuing the PEZA visa. I hope that is clear. Question 27. Issue and variety of the features of the PEZA visa card. Okay, one of the features of our issuance of PEZA visa is the PEZA visa card. And this will be, what do you call this? It will not substitute the BI ACR card. Kasi it's because in our MO and our IRR, we still state there that the foreign national could still get, we are not stopping you, you could still get the BI ACR card. So the PEZA visa card, we are still in its designing stage. And we appreciate so much the what do you call this? The inputs that we are getting from the locators, from our stakeholders on how it should look like, what are the guidelines on this. Thank you very much on these inputs. But probably in the next month, we will be implementing this and we will be welcoming all your inputs on this PEZA visa card. Can PEZA visa be finished in 15 days? What is the process? Okay. You don't need 15 days. As I said, for as long as you submitted the complete requirements, PEZA visa approval, PEZA side FNU, only 5 working days. In the immigration, if you complete all the requirements, also submit all the requirements, they also have 5 working days In fact, sabi ni Ma'am Mara, nagalit sa akin si Ma'am Mara, hindi niya makita ang ano ni Ma'am Mara sa akin. Nagalit siya, gumanon yung mata niya sa akin. Sabi niya, Ma'am, sorry, 3 days. Okay, so 3 days. But please, as I said, you have your obligations, you have your right. Your right to be, have your applications processed as soon as time possible. What's your obligation? Submit complete requirements. Stamping time for BI is too long. Violent objection from our BI counterparts. Sige, ma'am.
As you have mentioned earlier, you process so many companies for PEZA visa applications. The Bureau does not only process PEZA visa applications or PEZA visa implementation. We also process the downgrading of these PEZA visas, the downgrading of the 47 visas, which we also implement in your passport. We also process the restamping of the visas that we have. So all in all together, there is just no one application process that we do in London. And all this requires implementation in the passport. So as much as possible, we try to complete the turnaround time, which we do in 3 days time. In fact, others can request it within the day. But of course, there is a certain requirement for that. We have our letter and the express lien fee for that. But most often than not, we meet our time. It's just that if you have really complete requirements, then we are bound to return your request because we cannot implement incomplete requirements. PEZA in itself does not accept incomplete submissions, so much so for the Bureau. We will not accept anything that is also incomplete for implementation. So, but then we beg to disagree. We have always returned passports, completed stamped passports within the time period.
So you heard from our counterparts immigration, it all boils down to please submit complete requirements so that we could give you also the turnaround time as we promised. Okay, thank you on that, ma'am. Ito po, ang tanong nila, palagi tanong sa akin, as I said, I could not answer for immigration. Is it possible daw po that the service of immigration could be done in Cebu?
I think this issue has to be between the Bureau and because the existence of BI PEZA in itself is through the request of the PEZA for us to be here in the PEZA zone in itself, in the PEZA office in itself, so that we can solely cater to PEZA expats. And because the office of PEZA is, the office of the immigration is under the PEZA management. So any existence of other satellite offices within the PEZA zones must be decided upon by higher management, which will involve the higher authorities of PEZA and the Bureau. So we cannot comment if we can do it in Cebu or in Davao. We will comply if it is agreed upon and it will be implemented. Definitely the Bureau will.
Okay. So maybe this topic will be parked and it will be subject to another discussion, engagement with our immigration top management also. Okay. So the next question is on fees. I have explained this a while ago. How about the mode of payment? You pay at the zone. This one, okay. A few seconds lang dito, few minutes lang. As I said, when we were preparing the MOA and the IRR, we have not thought of some isolated cases that would crop up when we go to the transition period from 47A2 to PEZA visa. I'm talking about the foreign national being a 47A2 holder and then yung mga dependents a PEZA visa. So what happened there, I am talking about one case where the dependent, they secured the 47A2 visa. They secured the 47A2 visa. Unfortunately, our cashier, the system, payment system in our zone, no, it's PEZA Visa na. PEZA Visa. Okay, so this is the scenario in this mode of payment. The foreign national is a 4782 holder, and then the dependent came here and joined the principal, and then what they did was to downgrade the 4782. Is that the case? When yung ating cashier, yung payment system natin sa zone is not able to process yung 4782 payments already, so we require the company to make payments at the head office. Sa inclusion yon. So in that case, we ask for the kind indulgence of and accommodation and the understanding of the foreign national, the principal, that they have to pay that fee dito sa head office and not in the zone anymore. But we have very few instances there. So that is the exception to this one, na pay at the zone. Okay. We have no answer here on question 33. What is the process if the foreign national has to renew his passport and the stamp of the PEZA visa is in the old passport? How is the visa transferred to the new passport? Race stamping. Okay. Race stamping is done sa immigration. Okay.
Nagdala ko na yung details no, I'm just getting the association.
Who's
Nagdala ko na yung details of the 2 units.
We are getting a feedback from another laptop. Saan kaya ito? Okay, anyway, that's solved already. So for this restamping, the answer here is restamping, and restamping is done at the immigration. Okay. So the question, this is the last question. What if the foreign national decides to downgrade his visa to tourist to avoid the hassle? As I said, it is always the prerogative of the foreign national what kind of visa they will be getting to legalize their stay in the Philippines, but for as long as they want to be employed in a PEZA company, PEZA economic zone, they have to get a PEZA visa. And when they get a PEZA visa, they will be needing the AEP, and we will be endorsing that application. So if it is not a PEZA visa that they will get, and yet they want to be employed as a PEZA visa, we'll not be endorsing that $2. Any other questions in our one? Okay, so is that the last? Our president CEO is based in Japan. Is processing of the visa allowed like what we did with 4782 reprocessed? Nasa labas ng country, the foreign national, and they will process while the foreign national is not yet here. Is that possible? That's no longer allowed now under the PEZA visa because the application must be applied when already in the Philippines. Okay. Wala na tayong revalidation. This is revalidation before. Okay, we don't do revalidation anymore. So as I said, it is a working visa. It is not an entry visa. So the applicant must be here in the Philippines when they do the application for a PEZA visa. Do you accept application to passport when it is less than 6 months? Yung passport ang less than 6 months, no more. No. What is the document needed to comply with the AEP requirement? We have said this a while ago. It's a certified true copy of the AEP or photocopy with the marginal note, original scene, okay, or even the DOLE online verification, emailed validation of the DOLE regional office. What kind of document is this understudy program? I explained this already a while ago. We don't have a template. You just refer to the section I mentioned a while ago sa aming IRR. Put those in that affidavit form. You ask your lawyer, your legal consultant to prepare this understudy program. If you already submitted an understudy program with DOLE, when you secure that AEP for that PEZA visa, you can submit the same thing to us. But as I said, we could not dispense with this understudy program requirement as requirement to the PEZA visa issuance. Any other questions on the screen? Any more? That's the last question. That's the last of the questions. Okay, I hope all your questions, the questions with the 39 questions, maybe we have what do you call this, addressed already. Most. 34, number 34 was skipped down. Let me see 34. Baka simple lang yun. 34. Our expat holds 4782 visa and has been out of the country since the pandemic, and his visa expired while outside of the country. Does he need to downgrade his 4782 visa before securing a PESA visa? Okay. The situation is, lumabas siya, 4782 holder, but while still outside the Philippines, the 4782 expired, and then went back to the Philippines using, of course, a tourist visa. And then his services are still needed. Is he required to downgrade? No more, kasi the 4782 has long expired. So just secure a PESA visa. Okay, so that's the last of the questions in the screen. It's already 12:13. I know you're very hungry, and I hope you were able to address your concerns. But don't worry, your questions in the chat box will be attended to with dispatch by our very able staff. We will get all these, sabi ni OIC natin, don't look at me. We will get all your questions from the chat box, and we will answer them, and we will find a way on how they will reach you. The answers will reach you. Okay. Do we have last words from our immigration counterpart, Richard? So Richard, are you still there? Nag-leave na siya. But Ma'am Mara, Ma'am Jenny, the ones who really evaluate thoroughly your applications or your papers prior to implementation, can we give them tips on how to make it much, much easier for them to have this PESA visa implementation?
We'd like to commend the compliances made by the companies. I have to give it to them. It was really a very difficult and hard start. I was there at the time when it started in December up to about March.
Pero gumaganda na ngayon.
It very much. That's why I'm commending them.
Yes, thank you. And that will not be possible if not for the cooperation also of our partners.
That's why
you heard,
we are
commending
commending
from our
them
immigration guys.
for the compliances. Yes, I think as what Attorney Jenny has said, it's a partnership. So we always meet halfway. We try our very best to find other means to be able to support, our clients, and at the same time adjust to their needs at the time, because there are times that they really request for a fast tracking of their documents, especially for implementation purposes. And yet you have to also bear with us if there are certain requirements that we cannot not do with. So it's something that we are bound by as regulatory officers. We are bound by them. And please do not also blame BI staff if you cannot accommodate your requests, because we are officers of the law.
Correct.
We have higher management to follow. We have rules
and to answer
follow.
to, and to be responsible
And,
to, accountable to.
At the end of the day, even if you do not believe it, it's easier to fire us out, than comply. So people do not realize that the heavy weight of being an officer of the law, especially officer of government. Anything that we do that is not complying or to the disadvantage of the government will mean our
next. Correct po kayo. Yes.
So I hope you understand that what the IRR provides for has been thought of, discussed, and being complied with by us. Even Attorney Jenny, I think, is also complying with her higher management in terms of what the mandate should.
Yes.
But we are working to make things easier. And for this, I would like to thank all the partners, especially our clients and the companies who do their best to meet with their requirements. And gladly, yes, and we acknowledge that it has improved quite a lot from the time that we started. We are doing our best. For whatever the PEZA brings to us in the Bureau, we do pre-evaluation all ahead of time so that when you come, that it has already been evaluated. You will just comply. So that is what we do to be able to meet halfway. But please also try to understand that you cannot just come at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and ask us to do things for you. Especially on a Friday, when everybody is rushing out already and you are just the only ones remaining. We do extend work now. There is no question to that. We are experienced officers in the airport, so we know what 24/7 work is. We do that. But I hope you also understand that if you have things to comply, we also have things to comply. Thank you very much.
Okay. Ma'am Jen, any words? Opo. I could not have said it clearer pa than what Ma'am Mara had said. Okay, this is a partnership. We could only do so much. We help you, but we help us also. That's the only way where we could say na successful ang ating PEZA visa issuance and implementation. Ma'am, I would say that mababait naman po yung ating mga locators. They listen. As at the same time that we listen to them, they also listen to us. Diba, mga partners? Okay? So with this briefing, I hope that not totally eradicate or your concerns or your problems, but at least man lang it has already been addressed, and it will what do you call this, make things easier for you and for us also. And every now and then we'll be checking on you, making scheduling briefings if we still need one or two to really polish everything. Okay, and we hope that by the next few weeks, the joint memorandum circular will be issued that will improve more our and what do you call this, allow revisions for our existing IRR. So with that, thank you so much for your patience, your time, and your joining us in our briefing. So as I said, your questions will be answered. We will be sending you our reply, and we'll be giving you copies of our presentation now, the question and answer portion most especially. Okay? So maraming salamat. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and happy lunch, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ay, oo nga. Wait. Paano? Yung closing ni Ma'am, hindi mo pinaalala. Wait. Nakalabas na silang lahat? Wait. Sige, ini-out na ba ni Drew? I-play mo na lang. I-play mo na din. I-play mo. I sincerely...
Bureau of Immigration, PEZA Satellite
I
Office.
sincerely apologize, but we have great words from our DG. May we hear message from our DG. Much as the DG wanted to join us in our briefing today, her schedule is very hectic today, and I failed to get a booking from her full schedule. But nonetheless, she will be giving her message to us. Ma'am DG, I give you our Director General, Brigadier General,
Mr. Richard Gonzalez, the head of the Bureau of Immigration, PEZA Satellite Office. My Deputy Director General for Policy and Planning, DDG Teresa Panga. Our Legal Affairs Group Manager, Attorney Jenny June Romero. To the PEZA Management Committee, our industry partners, locator companies, consultants, PEZA officers and staff, and distinguished guests who are joining us here today, physically and virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, a most pleasant Wednesday morning. First and foremost, allow me to express my sincerest appreciation to the BUI PEZA Satellite Office Head, Mr. Gonzalez, alongside my esteemed DDG for Policy and Planning, Teresa Panga, and Attorney Jenny Romero for spearheading today's conference to shed light and provide more insights about the PEZA visa application and processing procedures. I also warmly thank each and every one of our participants who have joined us both on site and online for lending us your time and effort to attend this important forum. As you may all know, PEZA signed a Memorandum of Agreement with the Bureau of Immigration last November 18, 2021. The main purpose of the said MOA is to hasten and streamline the processing of the PEZA visa issuance for the qualified foreign investors, the non-resident foreign employees of PEZA-registered Ecozone enterprises, and their respective eligible dependents. The PEZA visa processing has made more efficient from 30 days to now only 10 days. Moreover, it has a good validity period of 2 years. This is indeed another milestone achieved by PEZA and the Bureau of Immigration as we aim to further enhance the ease of doing business in our country. Likewise, this breakthrough adheres to Project Repeal of our government in its efforts to lower the cost of business transactions with frontline services and therefore ensure the efficient service delivery of government agencies to our fellow men and foreign nationals. With this in mind, it is noteworthy to mention that the recent passage of the Ease of Doing Business Law of 2018 further cemented the authority to exercise what is provided under the PEZA law insofar as the issuance of visas to foreign nationals. Now that our country is entering another transition of welcoming and adjusting to a new administration, this forum shows how PEZA proactively perform its mandate for attracting and inviting more potential foreign investors to locate their business operations in the Philippines amidst any political milieu. Streamlining government procedures and processing time, reducing bottlenecks in permitting processes, and streamlining procedures is one of the keys to increasing our country's foreign direct investment inflows and contributing to further reviving our economy. As we continue to support collaborations with various government and private agencies, we are also strengthening our one-stop and non-stop shop services to our locators, developer operators, and partner stakeholders. Together, we are achieving our overarching goal of fully industrializing our country and making things happen for the Philippines. I hope that through this forum, you will all have gained more knowledge and insights into implementing PEZA visa issuance with the Bureau of Immigration. I hope this meeting will also drive and motivate each and every one of you in promoting our country, the Philippines, as the investment destination in Asia. I am very confident that today's undertaking with PEZA and the Bureau of Immigration can contribute to making the Philippines more enticing and more welcoming to stakeholders to invest in, do business, and bring innovations. Hand in hand, let us continue to prove that Filipinos' brand of excellence is world-class. Together, let us continue to embody our battle cry, Galing Pinas, Galing Pinas, which means that made in the Philippines is the best, and the Philippines is best to invest in. I wish today's forum nothing but success and a comprehensive discussion. We all look forward to many more collaborations with the Bureau of Immigration to serve the foreign and local investors of our country. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.